When was the last time you looked, and I mean really looked inside your air ducts?
Most people probably never have.
Right. Seriously, think about it for a second. We spend, an incredible amount of time optimizing our living spaces.
Hmm.
We're wiping down countertops with these specialized cleaners, investing in high-end vacuums for the rugs.
Purifying the drinking water, yeah.
Exactly, purifying the water. But the actual breathing system of our homes, it's just sitting up there.
Up in the ceiling or down in the crawl space.
Completely out of sight. And because it's hidden behind a metal grate, it is incredibly easy to just ignore the reality that this massive infrastructure might be harboring things we simply cannot see.
And things you probably wouldn't want to see.
Definitely not.
It is a fascinating blind spot in modern home maintenance. We inherently expect our homes to function as these safe, clean sanctuaries.
Yeah, of course.
Yet we completely overlook the primary delivery mechanism for the resource we consume the most. The air we breathe every single day, we assume the system is passive, just moving clean air from point A to point B.
And that assumption is exactly what we're challenging today. The mission for this deep dive is to really lift the hood on your HVAC system. We're going to uncover the biological and mechanical realities of what is actually hiding up in residential air ducts.
And analyze the surprisingly profound impact it has on your indoor air quality.
Right, and explore the engineering solutions required to actually fix it. To do this, we're analyzing a comprehensive stack of source material provided directly from Atlanta's premier property restoration specialists.
Which is great local data.
It is. And since we are looking closely at localized data for Metro Atlanta today, it makes perfect sense that this deep dive is sponsored by the experts who supplied our research, Hurricane LLC.
The pros on the ground.
Exactly. You can reach them at 404-999-5753. They specialize in a suite of home care solutions, primarily air duct cleaning, water damage restoration, dryer vent cleaning, and crawl space encapsulation.
With over 800 five-star reviews.
Over 800. They are the undisputed pros. Okay, let's unpack this. Before we get into the microscopic buildup and the airborne contaminants, I want to establish a baseline.
Sure.
From an engineering perspective, how is a standard residential HVAC system actually operating when it kicks on?
Well, the baseline is crucial here because the mechanics dictate the vulnerability. The simplest way to conceptualize your HVAC system is to view it as the respiratory system of your house.
Okay.
It operates on a principle of pressure differentials. You have a central air handler.
Right.
On one side, you have the return ducts, which pull air from your living space into the system. This air ideally passes through a filter to catch large particulates.
Ideally, yeah.
Exactly, ideally. The system then conditions that air, either removing heat and moisture during the summer or adding heat in the winter.
Makes sense.
Finally, the blower motor forces that conditioned air into the supply ducts. That's a branching network of tubes that exhale the air back into every room. The key takeaway here is that it is a continuous, closed-loop cycle. Yes. It pulls the ambient air from your home, alters the temperature, and pushes that exact same air back.
And that closed-loop concept seems to be where the primary vulnerability lies. If it's a closed loop, we aren't constantly pulling in fresh, pristine air from a mountaintop.
No, not at all.
We are just recycling whatever is already in the house.
Yeah.
And as I was reading through the source materials, it became glaringly obvious that standard fiberglass or pleated filters do not catch everything.
They really don't.
The list of what manages to bypass the filter and settle into the ductwork is extensive. We are talking about microscopic household dust.
Which is mostly human skin cells, by the way.
Oh, yes, largely comprised of human skin cells. But the sources also detail a heavy accumulation of pet dander, outdoor pollen that gets tracked inside, mold spores, various fungi.
Bacterial colonies?
Yes, bacteria, and even debris left behind by rodents and insects that find their way into the thermal envelope of the house.
What's fascinating here is how the physics of the ductwork transforms it from a simple passageway into a biological reservoir.
A reservoir.
Exactly. The interior of a duct isn't perfectly smooth. There are ridges, joints, bends. As the blower motor pushes air through these passages, friction causes the heavier particulates to settle out of the airstream and accumulate on the walls.
So it just builds up.
Over months and years, the system acts as a massive collection point. And because the system is continuously cycling, it isn't just a static pile of dust.
It's moving.
Right. The passing air constantly disturbs this reservoir, meaning the system is continuously circulating these exact same biological impurities back into your living space over and over again. It's an accumulation, layering, and redistribution cycle.
I'm trying to visualize the mechanical reality of that. It's essentially like using a vacuum cleaner with a bag you haven't changed in 5 years.
That's a good analogy.
But instead of blowing exhaust to the floor, it's blowing it directly into the ambient air you're breathing while you sleep or work.
Yep.
That shifts this from being just a mild maintenance oversight to a quantifiable environmental hazard inside the home. The sources make a very compelling data-driven argument about the health implications of this continuous exposure.
The scientific consensus on this is quite clear, and it is crucial to understand the biological mechanism at play here.
Boss through it.
When you inhale indoor air that is saturated with PM 2.5,
That's particulate matter, right?
yes, particulate matter that is 2.5 micrometers or smaller. This includes your pet dander, mold spores, broken down dust mite allergens. Because it's so small, it bypasses the natural filtration of your nose and throat.
It just goes straight through.
It enters deep into the lungs. This continuous low-grade exposure is a primary trigger for chronic respiratory issues.
Wow.
For the occupants of the home, this manifests as persistent shortness of breath, unexplained chronic coughing, and localized allergic reactions.
Like the burning, itchy eyes.
Burning, itchy eyes, irritated skin. It heavily aggravates existing conditions like asthma. Many people assume they are suffering from seasonal outdoor allergies, but the source data suggests the primary irritant is often incubating right above their heads in the ceiling.
Which brings us to a highly specific variable in our deep dive today. While the physics of a closed-loop HVAC system create vulnerabilities in any home, our sources heavily emphasize that this is not just a generalized issue.
No, context matters.
It is uniquely severe and accelerated if you live in metro Atlanta. There is an environmental Atlanta factor that turns standard duct buildup into a complex biological problem.
The regional environmental data really highlights why. You have to look at the external atmosphere the HVAC system is constantly battling.
Right.
In Georgia, you have two compounding climate variables. First, the region is notorious for massive seasonal pollen counts.
The yellow pine pollen everywhere.
Exactly, pine and oak pollen. That biological matter inevitably breaches the home's envelope. Second, and this is the catalyst, you have the intense, relentless humidity. The sources note that ambient humidity levels in the area frequently hover at 70% or higher for months at a time.
Anyone who has stepped outside in Atlanta in July knows exactly what 70% humidity feels like.
You can wear it.
The air has physical weight to it. And your air conditioning unit isn't just cooling the air, it's acting as a massive dehumidifier, pulling gallons of water out of the indoor atmosphere.
Precisely. Now consider the thermodynamics happening inside the hidden ductwork. You have cold, conditioned air rushing through metal or flex duct tubes that are often located in unconditioned spaces.
Like a hot attic.
A hot attic or a humid crawl space. This temperature differential naturally creates condensation.
It sweats.
It sweats. When you combine that persistent internal moisture with the fine particulates, the dust, the skin cells, and the heavy pollen loads, you get a specific biological matrix.
The sources call this Georgia's sludge.
Georgia's sludge.
It's an incredibly descriptive term. But I want to dig into the actual composition of that. We aren't just talking about dry, loose dust that a strong gust of wind could blow out of the vent.
No, not at all. The high moisture content fundamentally changes the state of the debris. The humidity acts as a binding agent.
It makes it sticky.
Exactly. It traps the microscopic particulates against the interior walls of the ductwork, creating a thick, sticky, mud-like sludge.
Gross.
Because this sludge is perpetually damp and packed with organic material, like the proteins in pet dander and the nutrients in pollen, it creates the absolute perfect dark incubator for microbial growth.
It was all mold.
Mold hotspots. The sources specifically analyze homes in dense, heavily canopied urban areas like Buckhead and Midtown.
Lots of shade.
Right. These homes are particularly susceptible to rapid mold colonization inside the ductwork because the environmental conditions are perfectly calibrated for fungi to thrive.
Let's factor in the system strain, too.
Yeah.
During those sweltering summer months, an Atlanta HVAC system is running practically nonstop to maintain a comfortable temperature.
It never gets a break.
So not only is this Georgia sludge actively incubating mold colonies in the dark, but the heavy, continuous AC use means the air you breathe is relentlessly dragging across this damp, contaminated matrix before it hits your living room.
It fundamentally compromises the indoor air quality.
Reading through the specific, highly localized chemistry of this problem, it becomes very clear why generalized DIY cleaning methods don't work here.
You can't just stick a shop vac hose down there.
You can't just expect to remove a moisture-bound sludge like that.
Hmm.
This is exactly why our sponsor, Hurricane LLC, approaches this with an engineering-first mindset.
They understand the thermodynamic reality of Atlanta's humidity.
They really do. And just to provide some context on their credentials, they maintain an A+ rating with the BBB. For anyone unfamiliar, the Better Business Bureau rating is a rigorous metric of a company's operational integrity, trustworthiness, and how effectively they resolve complex customer issues.
It's a solid benchmark.
It's a strong indicator that when you call them at 404-999-5753 for duct cleaning or water damage restoration, you are dealing with professionals who actually understand the science of the sludge.
The environmental complexity definitely requires specialized intervention, but the challenge for the homeowner is detection.
How do you even know it's there?
Exactly. Because this infrastructure is entirely hidden behind drywall and metal registers, the biological buildup is occurring invisibly. The warning signs that a home has transitioned from normal dust accumulation to a severe sludge or mold contamination issue can be incredibly subtle if you don't know what to look for.
So let's equip the listener with that knowledge.
Yeah.
If you were sitting in your home right now, how do you actually diagnose this? The source material provides a diagnostic checklist.
First, you have to look for visual indicators right at the terminal points.
The vents.
Look at the metal or plastic grates of your vents. If you see a fuzzy layer of dust or dark debris clinging to the slats, you are only seeing the very tip of the iceberg.
Second on the checklist, pay close attention to your body's response to the environment. Are you experiencing worsening respiratory or allergy issues, specifically indoors?
A major red flag is if your symptoms improve when you leave for work and immediately flare up when you return home.
Another subtle indicator is odor. If you notice a persistent, musty smell when the AC kicks on, you aren't just smelling old air.
You are likely smelling microbial volatile organic compounds.
MVOCs.
Right. Which are the gases released by actively growing mold.
And finally, the mechanical sign. Restricted or uneven airflow. If one bedroom feels like an icebox while the living room is stifling hot, or if the air is barely trickling out of the register, you likely have a physical blockage in the ductwork.
That restricted airflow is a critical data point. It isn't merely an inconvenience regarding room temperature. It represents a profound mechanical failure occurring within the system.
How so?
When debris, whether it is an accumulation of dry lint or a thick coating of that sticky Georgia sludge coats the interior of the duct, it decreases the internal diameter of the tube.
Right, the pipe gets narrower.
This increases what engineers call static pressure. The blower motor now has to work significantly harder, drawing more electrical amperage, just to force the conditioned air through that narrowed, restricted passageway.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because up until this point, we have been analyzing this strictly as a biological and health issue.
True.
We've talked about lung irritation, mold spores, and musty odors. But this specific mechanical issue, the increase in static pressure and the restricted airflow, pivots this entire conversation directly to the economics of running a home.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the economic impact of neglecting your ductwork is staggering. The thermodynamic reality is that an HVAC system choking on its own restricted airflow is incredibly inefficient.
It's burning money.
The sources provide a clear, quantifiable financial return on investment for remediation. When you professionally extract these pollutants and clear out the sludge, you eliminate that static pressure barrier.
The blower motor returns to its baseline electrical draw.
The system doesn't have to run as long to achieve the target temperature on your thermostat. The data indicates that restoring optimal airflow can reduce the system's overall energy consumption by a massive 15 to 20%.
Let's just pause on that number. A 15 to 20% reduction in energy consumption directly translates to a 15 to 20% drop in the heating and cooling portion of your monthly utility bill.
Every single month.
You are literally paying a premium every month just to force air through layers of dust and sludge.
Exactly. The inefficiency acts as a hidden tax on your utility bill. But the financial implications extend far beyond month-to-month energy costs.
System longevity.
Yes. An HVAC blower motor and compressor that are constantly overworking to overcome restricted airflow are enduring severe accelerated wear and tear. Components run hotter and degrade faster.
And replacing those is not cheap.
By maintaining clean, unobstructed ductwork, you are dramatically reducing the frequency of costly emergency repairs and, most importantly, prolonging the overall lifespan of the entire HVAC unit. You are delaying the inevitable $10,000 to $15,000 expense of a full system replacement.
So the intervention serves a dual purpose: immediate mitigation of health hazards and long-term protection of a major financial asset.
Precisely.
So what does this all mean? We understand the biology of what's hiding up there. We know the unique humidity of Atlanta accelerates the problem.
We recognize the physical warning signs.
And we've mapped out the economic drain of ignoring it. The next logical step is understanding the engineering required to actually fix it. What is the scientifically sound frequency for addressing this, and what does a legitimate remediation process actually entail?
Let's establish the timeline first. Based on the data regarding high humidity and the heavy pollen loads specific to Georgia, the standard recommendation is to schedule a professional, deep diagnostic cleaning every 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years.
However, that timeline is highly dynamic. If you have multiple pets in the home, which exponentially increases the volume of organic dander entering the system, or if any occupant suffers from asthma or chronic respiratory issues, the timeline accelerates.
That makes sense.
Under those conditions, the recommendation tightens to a professional intervention every 2 years to maintain a biologically safe indoor environment.
Okay, 2 to 5 years, depending on the biological load of the house.
Yeah.
But the source material is very explicit that not all cleanings are created equal.
No, there's a huge variance in quality.
In fact, they warn that improper discount methods, like just shoving a spinning brush down a vent, can actually make the problem worse by aerosolizing the dust without extracting it.
You're just stirring up the hornet's nest.
But the team at Hurricane Group utilizes a proprietary, highly engineered 4-step process. It was developed by their lead specialist, Liren, who brings over 15 years of specialized field experience to the table.
The pure air process.
Yes, the pure air process. As a proxy for the listener, I want to critically examine this methodology. Step 1 is a full system diagnostic. Obviously, you shouldn't blindly start ripping into ductwork, but what are they actually looking for during this phase?
The diagnostic phase is critical for establishing a targeted remediation plan.
You're right.
Leanne's team doesn't rely on guesswork. They initiate the process with a high-resolution, specialized camera inspection threaded directly into the duct network.
So they can see everything.
They are visually mapping the system. They need to identify the exact locations of heavy sludge buildup, look for breaches or tears in the flex duct that might be pulling in attic air, and critically pinpoint the exact coordinates of any active microbial or mold hotspots before they introduce any agitation.
That makes perfect sense. You map the battlefield before you engage. But step 2 is where the physics really come into play. Yeah. It's called negative pressure isolation.
Yes.
Now, I understand that if you just brush the dust, it blows everywhere.
Yeah.
How does negative pressure scientifically prevent the contamination from just escaping back into the living room?
This is precisely where amateur operations fail. The physics of negative pressure are essential for safe extraction. The Hurricane team begins by completely sealing every single supply and return vent in the home.
Every single one.
Then they attach a massive high-power vacuum unit directly to the main trunk line of the HVAC system, usually near the air handler. This vacuum is equipped with a HEPA filter.
High-efficiency particulate air.
Correct. It is a strict mechanical standard designed to trap 99.97% of microscopic pollutants, as small as 0.3 microns, ensuring they are captured and not exhausted back into the environment.
That's tiny.
When they turn this machine on, it creates a powerful negative pressure differential within the entire duct network. Essentially, the airflow is reversed and amplified.
Like a giant straw.
The system becomes a one-way street, ensuring that every single spore, dust mite, and particulate is pulled aggressively out of the home's envelope and into the HEPA containment unit.
That is a brilliant application of fluid dynamics.
Yeah.
You control the airflow completely. But earlier, we discussed the Georgia sludge. We established that it is sticky and bound to the duct walls by moisture.
Right.
Negative pressure alone, no matter how powerful the suction, isn't going to pull dried mud off a wall. So how does step 3, mechanical scrubbing, actually break that matrix?
Suction alone is insufficient for sludge. While the entire system is held tightly under that negative pressure, the technicians introduce specialized, pneumatically driven agitation tools deep into the ductwork.
Like what kind of tools?
These aren't just stiff brushes. They're engineered tools, like pneumatic whips, that travel the length of the ducts. They physically lash and scrub the interior walls, mechanically breaking the adhesive bonds of years of accumulated, hardened sludge.
And because it's under negative pressure.
Exactly. Because the system is under negative pressure, the exact millisecond that sludge is broken loose from the wall, the vacuum instantly rips it out of the airstream and pulls it to the HEPA filter. There is no opportunity for the debris to settle or escape.
It's a highly synchronized process. Agitation immediately followed by extraction. And that leaves us with an incredibly clean bare duct. But the source material outlines an optional fourth step, which seems absolutely vital if the camera diagnostic found active microbial growth.
Yes, step 4 is the EPA sanitization. Once the mechanical scrubbing is complete and all physical debris is removed, the duct is physically clean, but microscopic spores may remain.
The invisible threat.
To address this, the team can apply an antimicrobial fogging agent throughout the entire system. Crucially, this agent is registered with the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, meaning its chemical composition has been rigorously tested and verified.
So it's safe.
It is scientifically proven to kill 99.9% of remaining bacteria, fungi, and mold spores without leaving behind any toxic chemical residues that would be harmful to humans or pets.
That's huge for peace of mind.
The fog penetrates every microscopic crevice of the ductwork, effectively neutralizing the biological threat and acting as a deterrent to future mold regrowth during those highly humid summer months.
It is a complete, scientifically validated reset for the respiratory system of the home. And frankly, having analyzed the thermodynamic and biological data today, this level of precision seems non-negotiable for anyone living in this climate.
I agree completely.
If you are ready to implement this exact four-step medical-grade process in your own home, you need to contact our sponsor, Hurricane LLC, at 404-999-5753. Their specialized team is fully licensed and, importantly, they are IICRC certified,
which is the Institute of Inspection, Cleaning, and Restoration Certification.
the gold standard global organization. It sets the specific engineering and safety protocols for handling microbial growth and water damage. It means they aren't just pointing a vacuum, they're operating strictly by the book.
They really are.
Whether it is deep duct cleaning, dryer vent clearing, or sealing up your crawl space to stop the humidity at the source, they have the technical expertise. Take a moment to read through their 800-plus five-star reviews to see the results for yourself.
To synthesize the core concepts we've explored today, optimizing your home's hidden breathing system is not a peripheral chore. It is a critical structural intervention.
Without a doubt.
Ignoring the accumulation allows a continuous closed-loop cycle of microscopic allergens, pet dander, and mold to severely degrade your indoor air quality, a process rapidly accelerated by the unique humidity of the local climate.
The Georgia sludge.
However, strategically addressing this buildup serves a highly effective dual purpose. It is a profound upgrade to your daily respiratory health and a quantifiable thermodynamic strategy to maximize the efficiency and lifespan of your home's most expensive appliance.
It really is a rare intersection of health and economics. So here's the immediate challenge for you, the listener. The moment you finish this deep dive, take a quick walk to the nearest air vent in your home.
Right now.
Get right up close. Shine your phone's flashlight through those metal grates and look past the surface. Look for the dust, look for the fuzz, and try to detect any of the musty odors we discussed.
You might be surprised by what you find.
You are now equipped with a mechanical and biological knowledge to understand exactly what you are looking at. More importantly, you know the precise science required to fix it.
This raises an important question. If we can scientifically eliminate 99.9% of airborne contaminants from a vital, massive home infrastructure that we almost never look at, what other hidden systems in our daily lives, whether in the physical architecture of our homes, the invisible flow of our workplaces, or even the ingrained habits of our daily routines, are quietly, yet profoundly dictating our physical health and financial efficiency without us ever noticing?